All right, so let's make a formal introduction for our listeners. Good afternoon, Lulu. My name is Claudio. I'm calling you from Washington, D.C. From the studio in Fairfax City, we're very humble and grateful that Lulu Ash accepted our invitation to our show. Lulu, welcome to the show.
Hello, Claudio. Very, very happy to be here.
Thank you. So tell me, let's go back to the beginning. With everything that is going on in the world with the pandemic, people wanted to take the vaccine. Some people don't believe in the vaccine, and people dying, and we live in crazy times for the last, I don't know, 12 months or so. How you holding up? How the pandemic is affecting your life, your creativity, your inability to go out that much, that kind of stuff?
Well, I think it's been quite an interesting process. The first lockdown that we had was actually not a bad one because the weather was amazing. So everybody kind of went, wow, this is beautiful. We can see nature, we can do all these things.
Yeah.
And because we were allowed out, we were allowed to do exercise and go out. And I lived next to a very big park. So it was actually a time to just kind of stop and pause and take a deep breath and enjoy nature. But I think that as it's gone on, it's been much harder, especially over the winter, because it was horrible here, absolutely horrible, really chucking down with rain the entire time. And I think everybody felt very down. And of course, you'd kind of come out of the first lockdown going, yes, this is it. We're gonna get through this. And then to go back into another one was quite hard. I think creatively, it's been mixed. It's been much harder to get things done with my producer. So it's been lovely to be able to get back into the studio. But I found that it allowed me the space to sort of say, here I am, this is what I'm going to do. My time is now, basically, to start my work and to actually sort of put it out to the public, because I've been working for 2 years before that. So I just thought, yeah, time is now, get it done. So that it's been good in that respect.
I got you. Yeah, for me, I was buying a lot more music that I was able to consume. So I put in the radio was forced me to listen to my own stuff because I buy a lot. Every time I do an interview, people send me stuff, and I have a lot.
Yeah.
So I was able to listen to my own, a lot of records and vinyl and CDs that I was buying here in this house. It's like a townhouse. I have 4 floors, and I have in every floor I have music and stereo, so I can go to any floor and listen to my stuff. And also, I was going until March last year. I was going very fast in my life.
Yeah, I think that's what everybody feels.
Yeah, I'm a computer engineer working for a kind of well-known company, and now I own a couple of other businesses, and I was going too fast, and I end up stopping and saying, what the heck, what are you doing? This is not important for you. You're making good money, and that's not the most important thing. And like they say, you need to stop and smell the roses and go to the garden. And that's what's happened to me. So it's too bad that, I don't know, too many people have that in the world, but for me, it was a great over to listen to my stuff, to determine what is important to me, what I want to do with the rest of my life, listen to my music, and think about the important stuff in life.
I think that's quite a common theme. I mean, definitely more people just got to enjoy nature and enjoy their families, because I know a lot of people who leave the house at 8 o'clock in the morning or earlier, especially in London, 6 o'clock in the morning, come back at 10 o'clock at night, really never see their kids. Their work is so stressful. And there's never any downtime. The only downtime is when they're on holiday. And then it always takes you sort of half that holiday just to relax. So suddenly people got to put their kids to bed. They got to have dinner with their kids for the first time, or lunch with their kids for the first time, breakfast, lunch and dinner, all three, and share things, share experiences with them. So I think it's had a lot of, obviously it's been catastrophic in terms of the loss of life, just quite extraordinary. But the positive side is that I think it's brought families together.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go back to the beginning. Were you born like in in a musical family? You know, how old were you when you began uh, starting taking, you know, piano lesson or guitar lesson? How were
Well,
you?
my father was an award-winning chorister in Ireland. So I was born into that, but he died when I was quite young, when I was 9. My mum always liked music, and we listened to a lot of the albums that he used to listen to, like Frank Sinatra and Peggy Lee. But I was naturally quite musical. I didn't learn an instrument, and that's my biggest regret, because I could play things by ear. So I sort of thought, oh, no, I won't bother. But I really, really regret that now. And I was naturally quite gifted musically. I did quite well at school musically. I had a really good ear for it, a natural ear for it. So I sort of carried on doing music. I went to a very musical school. It revolved around music. The whole school would do arias and things like that. And then I just sort of grew up like a normal teenager, listening to New Romantic, Duran Duran, Spandau, Kate Bush, that sort of thing. And it really slipped by the wayside. I did the odd choir at university. It sort of disappeared out of my life. And it's only really just been recently that I've picked it up again. And that was an accident, because it was down to my children studying music that I ended up getting back into it. And it's been a revelation. It's been wonderful.
But in between, right, kind of college or university, we go here, and then when you release your first single, people, I suppose that, I don't know if it came from you or somebody else, but you have an unbelievable voice, and that developed over time. It's not that you wake up, you know, March 1st, 2020, you say, man, I want to be a singer. Some people
it was almost like that, actually. In a way, it was almost like that, because I sang and I had a nice voice. I didn't really think about it, just sang in the shower, sang as you do. Yeah. And then I started to learn guitar to try and help my children, actually. And my guitar teacher said, oh, you have a really nice voice. You know, you should sing when we play. And I'm like, oh, I'm so embarrassed. I can't possibly do it. So I started to sing. And then I started to do more things in terms of singing. And that grew and grew. And suddenly it was, my mother had died my mother died about 11 years ago. And I was really struggling to cope with it. And the whole music thing just clicked at that time, where I was trying to look for a way to express myself. And I just couldn't. I couldn't find anything. And suddenly I discovered music again, thanks to this guitar teacher, who actually I then ended up singing with, which was wonderful. And that helped me songwrite. But it was superb for me, because it meant that finally I had a voice and I could express all these things that I didn't know how to express by writing songs and singing my heart out and doing harmonies, which are wonderful, you know.
Absolutely. Where you, in what part of your life were you in a band together after, you know?
Yes, we were in a duo, an acoustic duo, for about 4 years, actually. But it was really nice, because it was lovely to be able to sort of talk to somebody about music. And he was very inspiring in terms of getting me to listen to different bands who I knew of or I didn't know of, and enriched my knowledge a great deal, which really helped. And in a way helped me find my voice. And I've gone on now to sort of do my own stuff and work with my producer. But there's nothing better than being able to talk to somebody about your passion. It just, if you can't, you feel very pent up, but just to have someone go, oh, I know exactly, oh, this is really good. Have you listened to the guitar riff on this? Is amazing. The vocals on that are superb. It really lifts you and inspires you.
Yeah, I will send you, maybe tonight or tomorrow, I will send you a list of stuff that, according to me, that are great music, bands that you never even heard
I would
of.
love to. I love that. I absolutely
Because
love
I'm
that.
always looking for I have, of course, a lot of music, but I'm always looking for new things. And via, Spotify or people emailing from the radio, and there's a lot of great music on there.
Yeah.
People, and I think you will like a couple of people from Australia that I'm in the process of contacting, so if it can be, they will blow you away, and nobody know them. I mean, nobody,
Yeah.
few people know them, right? So they're great music, and to listen. For me, I couldn't live without music. It's as mentioned before, I get it's very important. It's part of my life, right?
Yeah.
Independent of Claudio being the engineer and doing other stuff, I do some stuff in finance and in real estate. I'm always come back to business.
Yeah.
It's expensive business, to pay for all the shows and everything. But I'm very happy to.
But it's at your core, isn't it? I mean, that's the thing. It's at your core, and when something is so passionate to you and so deep within you, you have to service it. You have to let it free, or you're just miserable.
Yeah. I make a good living doing other stuff that will allow me to do the stuff. You see, I'm the type of person that I used to kind of live in the past and in the future. Now I'm in the moment most of my time, and when I'm 80 years old, I want to look back in my life, right, and say, man, I saw every single band that I wanted to see, from Eric Clapton to Peter Gabriel. I talked to Duran Duran. I interview Lulu Ash. I talked to this and that, and that's what I want to do. Besides being a good parent and a good husband or whatever. But it's great. It's great. The music give you a lot of passion. It's in terms of nowadays with used to be like people will go to hire a producer and a mixer, go to a studio, record some stuff, and now everything it's with the evolution of technology in music. Is this affecting your creative process at all?
No, I think that it's healthy to have the balance. When I started working with my producer and exploring a lot of sounds that come via your computer, so via Logic, using Logic, different synths, different sounds that you could make. And that was very interesting to me, because before I had sort of been with an acoustic guitarist and band. So that excited me. New sounds, very much the Kate Bush thing of experimenting and just reacting to the sound within you. So it didn't really matter where it came from, how it was generated, but as long as it hit the chord within you, you knew it was right. And then as we moved on, I found I craved more instrumentation, more true instruments. So I love strings, absolutely love strings. I cannot play a violin. I wish I could, but the sound of it just does something to me, really kind of makes the hair stand up on the back of my neck. So we got a chap in to do some full string section, and suddenly the whole thing is lifted. And I love the idea that I can go out and record something in my environment. I can bring it back and I can include that in my track alongside an acoustic guitar, an electric guitar, violins, cellos. I love that it's mixed, that you can do whatever you want, anything that inspires you. So I think that there's something to be said for all of it. It all has a good balance. I think the only problem is when it's things like TikTok and there's the creation of this wave down to a sample that's put on social media, and it hits some sort of button and it's off, and then you lose something. Then it's all very processed. But I think using computers is as valid as sort of using a mixing desk, as using real instruments, synthesized instruments, found organic sounds. It's all good.
Yeah. Do you like social media? is social media important in your life, or the family, or your kids, or whatever?
I think I don't like social media, but unfortunately, to an extent, it's a necessary evil. That I think I would struggle with some of it. I have my Instagram account is the main thing that I sort of focus on, and that has actually been lovely because I've got to meet you, for example. I've got to meet lots of people from all over the world who come to me and say, I really love what you're doing, or have you heard this track by so and so? I think you'd really like it. Great conversations with people I would not meet because they don't live anywhere near to me.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's a necessary evil. That's the best way to put it. Although I'm an engineer and I spend my life, with computers and it's terrible. It's I don't know.
It's very consuming, and
yeah.
that's the problem. Is that once you do one thing, just the follow-up from that one thing can then completely consume your time. But I remember having a conversation with a friend of mine. Well, I was at art college for 2 years, and he was a superb artist and a young man, 25 or 30. And he said, I cannot stand, I'm not going to use social media. I will not put my stuff out there. And I said, I totally understand what you're saying. But if you look at it from the perspective of the fact that if you do put your stuff out there, even if one person hears it who may never have otherwise heard it, to me, that is great. Because that's what I want in the end, is for people to hear it and go, oh gosh, I completely understand what I'm hearing here. That connects with me. I remember feeling like that, or I felt like that before, or I've never felt like that, but I have such empathy for it. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to connect with people.
Yeah.
And social media does allow you to do that. And by completely denying the existence of it, you are unfortunately limiting yourself.
Yeah, absolutely right. So it's a big difference, not spending, 2 hours a day like some people do, replying to messages and stuff like that, but at least, having a profile there where people can see sometime picture, or I'm working in a new single or whatever.
Yeah.
The same go for Spotify, right? So most of the artists don't make any money off Spotify because you need to have like a million.
It's ridiculous.
$10 check, right? But for me, right, as a consumer, it's the great tool because from your stuff they can recommend me this and that, and many artists I've never even heard of it, but via Spotify allow me to get to know a daily mix. And I'm always, as I say, I'm always looking for new artists, new ways, new from different countries, from different voices, and
yes, it sends you on a chain, and that is quite useful. I've discovered new artists that way as well, who actually I really listened to a lot for a while. A lot of the Scandinavian artists like Aurora and Agnes Obel, who I'd never heard of before. And suddenly I was listening to them going, oh, I love what they're doing. I love the harmonies on that. I love this.
Yeah.
And obviously inspires you. So that is very useful. Yes, but Spotify is a tough one.
Yeah, it's I have interviewed about 4 people from Norway that otherwise if it wasn't from me researching and going at night listening to stuff, it's a lot of great music out there, Lulu.
Yeah, Scandinavian music, there's a lot to be said. There are really good artists out there.
I noticed in the website you describe your creative process as a cinematic soundscape written from art. Please feel free to elaborate. I know exactly what it means, but feel free for the people.
Yeah, I think it really started, I suppose, from my love of harmonies. I love that slightly choral feel. I love instrumentation that floats and takes you away, and harmonies and vocals that float and take you away. You mentioned Enya earlier, and that's very much that kind of just drifting away in your head to a different place, to a different time. And that's what I really want to the listener to get is a feel of faraway places, even if the lyrics aren't necessarily nice or floaty. If you get my meaning, even if the lyrics kind of contradict the sound, the feeling is escape and drifting. One of my references is Rachel's theme, Vangelis, the Blade Runner, which is just this beautiful vocal laid over beautiful instrumentation. And the hairs go up on the back. Even as I'm saying it, the hairs are going up on the back of my neck. So cleverly done, so cleverly put together, everything really well thought of. So it's not just a float. There are other things that kind of draw you and ground you as well. And I love that, absolutely love that. I love cinematic sound scores, you know. And that's what I really enjoy doing. And I found that when I was doing things that weren't so much like that, I've gone, oh, not sure about that. And I end up revisiting it and creating more of that cinematic feel, because that's where it feels right for me.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned that particular movie. It's one of the best movies of Blade Runner. It was way ahead of this time, way ahead of this, from 1980.
Oh yeah.
Scott, and the music by Vangelis. It's unbelievable. I have seen that movie probably, I don't know, like 10 times, and I have out of I have a lot of soundtrack too, and I have like 4 different versions from that.
Yeah.
You know, some are 1 CD, some are director cut, other I bought in Tokyo. There are like 2, 3 CDs, and music that they didn't use in it's a lot of great stuff. Man. It's a beautiful music. But the
and
other
it's very
thing,
important.
yeah, go ahead.
And the written from the heart aspect.
Yeah.
You know, the written from the heart aspect is really important to me. It has to be genuine. I can't sort of write about things that I don't know or don't feel, which some people can. Some people are great at sort of writing a story about something that they haven't necessarily experienced, and they've sort of created it. But I watch other people, I think about my own life, I watch scenarios on television that really sort of hit home to me, and that's what I write about. It's got to connect to me, because I feel if it connects with me, it will connect with the listener as well.
Yeah, your music, I'm quite sure that you have heard this comment that the lyrics itself, right? The music is great, but let's separate the music. But the lyrics with great music in the background, it resonates with a lot of people. You know, it's if you're talking about your mom or your kids or your life, whatever that may be, it may be a common thing for a listener like myself, right? So your music, it resonates. You get very emotional. Plus, you have ethereal feel that you have behind it. It's great stuff, man. You know, very good music. So it's unbelievable that the lyrics for me, they're, as I say, always have been important for what people.
I'm losing you a bit.
Yeah. Can you hear me better now? Is it better?
Yes, I've got you back now.
Yeah. What I was saying, that the lyrics.
Yeah, lyrics are very important to me as well.
And resonate with a lot. Your lyrics, I'm quite sure, resonate with a lot of people, and having that.
I hope so. I think so, because they are, as you say, they are things that everyone has experienced or can relate to. And obviously they're, for example, with the ballad, I mean, that's a very personal one and is very much a kind of narration of my life. But even if you don't experience what I've experienced, you can empathize or you can relate to that. You've heard of somebody, or it does sort of hit a chord, I think, with a lot of people.
On one hand, this is kind of a sort of personal question. You open up, if something happened to you, whatever that may be, you open up to the world with writing lyrics about it. Does it affect you? It's easy for you to take your feelings out of you and make it a song, or put in somebody else's shoe. Doesn't affect you? Exposing yourself to the world with the lyrics?
Makes me feel a lot better, actually. I think that's the truth, is it makes me feel a lot better. It's like just having a really good old vent. you know. It's like just sitting there and ranting on about something, just get it off your chest. It is good, and I listen to it, and obviously I know the story, but I don't think to myself, oh gosh, why on earth did I open my mouth and and say that to the world? No, it's much more a case of I listen to it and it's like ranting all over again. Just gotta let it go. I think it's brilliant therapy.
You know, inexpensive therapy, let me put it the other way. You don't have to pay for a psychiatrist too. And but it's great. It's great. You boys have been compared to Kate Bush, Enya, and all these famous singers. What make you feel about that when you did a cover of Kate Bush's song?
Well, it's a massive compliment, isn't it, really? Because they're extraordinary singers. I mean, particularly Kate Bush, because it's not just her voice, it's everything that surrounds her bravery with experimentation at such a young age, her sort of constant belief in what she was doing, never afraid to push the boundaries, and I love that. And they're great artists, and if I can come even partially close, then it's a massive honor.
Gotcha. Have you ever met her or no, Kate Bush? Have you ever met her?
No.
Or seen her live?
No, I haven't, unfortunately. I missed her at the Odeon. I was gutted.
It was like
tickets sold
3 or
out
4
in
years
about
ago, right?
second.
3 or 4 years ago, she did like 10, 12 gigs, and then she disappeared again. Right? I don't know if the internet connection is good. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, that was it. Nothing before, nothing after.
Yeah.
Just straight.
Yeah, I mean, I never seen her, and of course, that when she announced it, 12 gigs, like 3 or 4 years ago, when the ticket went like that, very fast. People pay any kind of money to see her, and the ticket went very, very fast. So, and so.
I don't know whether you can hear me. I've completely lost you.
Can you let me see if I can need to move to a different room? Can you hear me better now, or? We're talking about Kate Bush when she announced it before. I think she did like 12 nights in a row 4 years ago, and the ticket went very, very fast, and people pay a lot of money to see her. So I never been able. I don't know if she will ever tour again. I don't. What can you do? If you are a consumer and
I don't know. She's so private. She's such a private person that I think it's not her cup of tea at all, but it would be lovely if she did.
Yeah, and she didn't. I bought a CD set with 2 of the nights, but she didn't do like a YouTube, like a Blu-ray or a video there. No, it's too bad, man. I don't know. I would love to see her. The same happened. I don't know if you know David. You know who David Sylvian is?
Yes. Japan.
Huh? Yeah, from Japan.
Yeah.
From Japan. Yeah, he's unbelievable person. Unbelievable. And of course, he disappeared. He doesn't want to tour anymore, and whatever. I never seen him live, and I don't know if I'll be able to see him. Like playing live.
Yeah.
But you need to respect the artist. The personal life, and I don't know. And if you have the if you have the opportunity to collaborate with other musicians, dead or alive, who that would be either opening up for them or doing a song together. Of course, Kate Bush.
That's a tricky one. Yeah, Kate Bush. Annie Lennox, probably. I think that would be incredible. Absolutely incredible. I'm trying to think who. Imelda May, who's currently she's got an album out at the moment, and I think she'd be great to collaborate with as well. She's a very interesting Irish artist. much more kind of rock and roll based work. But yeah, I think Annie Lennox's voice is just out of this world, and as a person she's just so inspiring and very strong and independent, and has done an enormous amount for female music. And I loved her androgyny in the 80s. That sort of really very startling at the time, seeing a woman dressed in men's clothing, but it was really inspiring and very exciting. She's great, and her voice is, oh my goodness.
Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah, I love her stuff too. I listened to your track. I will mention a couple of them, or probably 4 of them, and then feel free to elaborate on how that that particular composition came together, and what you do, what's the pressure for you. Of course, the first one is Never Be Mine. Why you decided to do that one?
It was one I loved, and I have a lot of people who follow me who also follow Kate Bush, and I really wanted to almost honor that and say thank you very much to them for their support. And it was a track I've always loved. It's always one that if I'm going to listen to one track, it will often be that one. It kind of evokes a lot of different moods in me. And it's an interesting track because you hear it and you read it as a lost love. And it's very easy to just kind of read it as that and not go any further. But actually, she's saying, I may have lost this love, but actually, it was much better. It was much better as a dream than it was in reality. And I'm really happy to just carry on dreaming about it and for it not to be a reality. And I love that idea of a bit of independence and a bit of feistiness, which kind of underlies what you first hear as you listen to it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I will do another cover because there's no point really. That was a special thing, and that was a kind of thank you to all the people who are so kind to follow me.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a beautiful. The other one is obviously Circles. That's a beautiful piece. All of them are very, very nice.
Circles, yes. I'm glad you like that.
Of course,
I'm glad you like that one. Yes, that now, funnily enough, I've written quite a lot of work, but Circles came quite quickly during the end, I think, of the last lockdown or beginning of this one. And I just said, right, I'm going to put that one out. It's ready to go out. And the other stuff that I've been working on can wait. But it was just a mood of, and it needed to be done, needed to be said. But I love that one. I love the cello on it, of course, because I love my strings.
What about the ballad?
I'm glad you like it.
Yeah. What about the ballad of Lulu Ash?
Well, the ballad is another funny one, actually. That was, Ballad of Lulu Ash. That's a funny one again because I had the tumble dryer on, and when the tumble dryer rotates, it goes dun 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 dun, and I just started da 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 da. And this tune sort of came to me as the tumble dryer was rotating, and I sort of heard this flat line, and it became an Irish sort of Celtic feel to it. And my background is Celtic. My Irish was my dad was Irish, and my mum was a Scot. So I kind of have that in me, but it just felt right, and the lyrics came very quickly and very much my life really, and it felt very good to do. Very good to do. And I was I'm very proud of them all, but I was very proud when that came out, actually, because I think that was the first one after the instrumental, and it was a bit unexpected, so I enjoyed doing it.
Quite sure a lot of people from Ireland, email you back, or you try to get a hold of you to see if you can, play in a theater or space or whatever.
I haven't had that yet, but my cousin's Irish and he loved it, so that was good. That was good for me.
And the last one, Everything You Are. That's another great piece. Yeah.
Well, that will be released with lyrics. So that was my first track, and it was a little bit of a testing the water type thing. But that's the first song I ever wrote, and it does actually have lyrics to it. But I decided to put it out as an instrumental because we'd built up this. Well, Nico, my producer, done this amazing work building up a beautiful instrumental against it. Very cinematic feel, and I just thought, you know what, it's so beautiful, let's just put it out like that. And there is a section which is the spoken section, which is inspired really by Mike Oldfield's Songs of a Distant Earth, where this person is just saying dissolving, and it's so beautiful. So I had this little written piece, and it worked really well with the instrumental, and I'm not sure it would work in a full lyric version, but I really wanted to do that, to have it there. So I might be doing the lyric version in a month, possibly. That's the intention at the moment, is that's the track after the next one. So there's one to release called The Bell Jar. That'll be the next release.
Yeah.
And then possibly the lyric version of Everything You Are will be after that.
I got you.
And then one in September called The Phoenix.
That's great. And then the idea is to, now you've have released those singles, is the idea to put like an album together, like and you know, a whole CD or vinyl record with, I don't know, 8 or 10 songs, or that's the goal, or you prefer to say?
At the moment, it's going to be singles. The tracks that I've completed, they work as singles, I think. But what I'm thinking that I might do in the meantime is start putting an album together, because an album to me nowadays, an album almost doesn't matter, because you just pick things from Spotify and you don't need to listen to the whole album anymore. You make your own playlists. But for me, an album is a story. It's the same as opening a book. It has a beginning, it has a middle, it has an end. It's a complete entity. And those songs have to work together. They have to complete the story. So the ones I have at the moment, I just didn't feel they were necessarily cohesive. They were cohesive enough, and enough of them to make a full album. So at the moment, it's going to be singles, but I think possibly there will be an album coming next year.
Yeah, I got you. And then
she says,
yeah. And then, are you planning on touring in the fall, now that in the London venues and theaters and the small places are opening up? Is something important to you to expose yourself? And if you have another, whatever, 6 tracks or 10 tracks or whatever, do you like to play live for people, or?
I really enjoy playing live. Yeah, it is lovely having that sort of live audience reaction, and I think that would probably fit with the idea of doing an album. So if I did that next year, I would probably tour next year with that, do some live gigs with that. And in the meantime, you know, if things cropped up, I might do them, but I'm very focused at the moment on getting the tracks out and getting them up to the standard I want them to be, and the exploration of things, often revisiting earlier pieces and having a look at them again, which has been really enjoyable, actually, sort of doing something, parking it for a bit and then coming back with fresh ears. It's a bit like doing a painting where you've sort of done it, you're happy with it, you walk away, you leave it for 3 months, you come back and you go, and you see something new and you feel something fresh. So that's the focus at the moment. Also, just because it's all so strange, we don't quite know what's happening with live venues opening up, and it has been kind of weird just being out, which is something I didn't think of. You sort of think, oh, I can't wait to get out and be able to do things and go to shops, but it has definitely been a strange experience. Everybody is a little bit not quite knowing what to do. So I think once I've kind of got up and running again and feel a bit more settled, that will be a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when it feels right for you. Every person is
Yeah,
unique, right? But don't wait too long. Your stuff is
it's
good.
very important,
Yeah.
you know. Oh,
But
thank you very much.
no,
I'm really glad you
I
enjoyed
really
it.
mean I really mean that your stuff is very good. It need to be heard, and of course, uh, I'm not in your life, but if I was your your producer or whatever, I would push you to do an album, do another 4 tracks, or and then in the fall start touring, and your music need to be heard. It's very good stuff. Don't wait another.
Thank you
Sorry
very
to say
much.
that. Don't Sorry to say that, but don't wait another year or 2 years. It's good. People. I don't know.
Well, I mean, there
Time
will
goes
be
by
music
fast.
before them, you know.
Times go
It
fast.
does, especially when you're trying to release tracks and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to do release that then, and then all of a sudden the time has gone and you realize you're sort of missing a whole load of the time's just completely disappeared. But there will be at least 3, if not 4 or 5 tracks released this year.
Yeah.
And then because they are either done or partially done, that gives me the headspace to think about the next project, because I get very anxious if I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I've got nothing and I've got to create, and I like to have a bit of breathing, a bit of calm.
Yeah, absolutely. Any of your kids are into music or not? Nothing to do with this.
They are both very, very musical, and they are both into music, but they don't want to play. They don't want to be in front of people. They don't want to. It's just too embarrassing. Which is such a shame. And I've tried to kind of push them, but they have to do what they want to do. And I think that because they know how to play the guitar. My youngest plays the drums and the guitar and the piano. And my eldest plays the guitar and the piano, actually. And I think it's the sort of thing that they may come back to later in life. But when you're a teenager, it's just they just feel very embarrassed being in front of people.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I mentioned a couple of times. For me, I knew I don't know how to play music. I don't know how to sing. I I don't play any instrument at all. But just listen to music. I don't know, at least 2 hours a day when I'm doing other stuff, and it's always been important. I knew that I needed to see shows. I need to see art. I need to begin interviewing people. I needed to open the radio. I have a lot of ideas of things that I want to do before I go into a next life, whatever that may be.
Yeah.
We do
But
things.
one of the things that I'm a massive advocate of is this idea that it's never too late. And for me, that's been quite a big thing. And it's one of the things that people comment on more than anything is, oh, wow, you're so brave to be doing this now. And I think, no, it's not brave. It had to be done. It was a way of expression, that there was no other way to do it. And I write my songs on the piano, but I've never formally learned the piano. I took guitar lessons, but I can read music anyway. And as I said, I can get chords and things and have a good ear. But it's never too late to learn an instrument. It's never too late to sing a song. It's never too late to do anything at all. And I feel very passionately about that. This idea of, oh well, I'm such and such an age, so therefore I just, I'm just thinking about my retirement, or I'm just thinking about my kids, or yes, of course, you have your children and you focus on your children, or you have your life and you focus on your life. But when you have that little niggle all the time just saying to you, oh, wouldn't you just like to do X, Y, or Z? It's not something that should be ignored. It should always be explored and celebrated.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a place in your case to be a mom, to be a wife, to be but it's a place to be an artist too. And I don't know, it's
Yeah.
good to dedicate a little bit of everything, time for your music, time to be a mother.
Yeah, definitely.
It's important. If you haven't done music, what, if music wasn't part of your life, what would you have done in your life?
I think at the moment, if I weren't doing music, I'd probably be writing, because I've got a children's book, sort of skeleton sketch of a children's book, which is about children's mental health. Really, it's a story, but it's about a girl who sort of feels very isolated and doesn't feel she fits in. And so I would love to do that, actually, is to write that book, and I probably will. I hope I will.
Why that, if you don't mind, why the idea, the isolation of it, why that particular topic?
I think just because probably that's how I felt, because I was an only child, and I always felt slightly different. And also my dad died when I was quite young, so it was just my mum bringing me up, and I was always daydreaming, off with the fairies, and kind of making up stories in my head. And so I never really felt like I particularly fit in. And I think there are a lot of kids who feel like, there are a lot of adults who feel like that, and it's never ever spoken about. No one mentions, you have a party, you have friends, this, that, and the other, and I can guarantee that if you actually asked your friends and took a poll, if you like, and said to them, do you feel like you fit in? Loads of them would say, no, I don't, and I never have. And you think to yourself, gosh, that person is the life and soul of the party. Why do they feel like that? But they do. And I think it starts at childhood, that feeling. And I wanted this thing of a child to read it and say, oh gosh, that's how I feel, and actually it'll be okay. And that's the thing, it is okay, even if you never really fit in. You find your people, you find your niche, and you find a way to fit in, but it's not necessarily what you thought in the first place. It's not necessarily the path you thought in the first place. You sort of have society's expectations weighing on your shoulders, even at quite a young age. And you don't have to follow that. You really don't have to follow that. And I think it's important for children and adults to know that you don't have to conform to what society expects of you, or what you expect of yourself, just because you've grown up a certain way or anything like that. So yeah, it's something I feel quite passionately about. Yeah, probably because of my own situation.
Yeah, that's a beautiful, man. The way you put it together into words is very, very well explained. It completely resonates. And you say, if we were to create a poll, 70% of the people would say, yeah, I didn't fit in, or I was the only kid, or I wanted to be different, or I didn't want to conform to society. And it happens to me too. So I was brought in a certain way in South America, in Chile, but I knew that I was different, and I wanted to do a lot of things. And one of the radio was the other thing that I wanted to do. So obviously, my day job, I make a living doing something very different. But the music and I'm a risk taker. There's a lot of projects that I want to do in my life, and I need to do them. There's no way around it. I have no choice, right? Some people become musicians or artists or photographers. They have no choice. For me, in terms of music, I have no choice. So if I'm happy doing a lot of different things, and I conform to the world, right? There's some rules in the world, and there's societies like this, but I do them. But at the same time, I do my own thing, and it gives me like a good mix of be a decent human being in this crazy world that we live in. You gotta do what you like. You gotta do what you're passionate about. You gotta you're never too late to start projects, never too late to start a career or go back to school. And, it's like, I was like a good example would be I was a terrible, very bad student, and my parents were very uh, pissed off at me because my dad and my mom are kind of well known there in Chile, and now I look back, I wasn't ready to go to school when I was 18 or 20, right? I wanted to listen to music and I wanna chase girls or whatever, but now I look back, I have 5 college degrees. I studied in the best university in the world, and I got a regular scholarship, and I have done well in my life. I cannot complain. So know, um, if it hasn't been for that particular moment, because I was a terrible student, perhaps I would have never come to the United States. I would have never studied in this places. I have never known the amount of music or seen all the 1,000 shows that I have seen in my life at least. Uh, so because the fact that I was that way and I am not doing it well, that was the best thing that happened to me. It's
Yeah.
very difficult to connect the dots going forward, but it's very easy to connect the dots going backwards. Like, man, the reason
Yeah.
it happened to me is I end up in a different place, man. And well, that's kind of all the questions that I have. Lulu. As I mentioned before, don't wait too long. Lulu. Your music is good. You have an unbelievable voice, and you have a nice personality. People need to hear your stuff, man. Don't wait too late.
Thank you very much.
They don't need to be perfect. No, everybody want to do.
Oh, they do.
Yeah, but
They
some
do.
people, some artists, I don't know, wait, I don't know, 10, 15 years within records, and other a year. I don't know their personal life, I suppose, but it's good stuff. It's good stuff. It's good. Don't
It's about feel, isn't it? It's about when it hits that point where you go, yes. And that there is a definite moment when that happens, is you're working on something, and obviously you can overwork, you can overthink, but experience teaches you. And there are times when I'll go, yeah, I can hear something there, but you know what, it doesn't matter, we can let that go. Or yes, maybe that clashes a little bit, but in the whole, it's fine, we'll let that go. So there are little technical things that I wouldn't necessarily get hung up about, as long as it has hit that spot in my gut and my soul where I go, yeah, it says what I need to say, and all the music around it supports it and says what I'm trying. It supports what I'm trying to say. And when it gets to that point, then I can go, yep, time to let it go. That's good.
Any particular
But
venue
it would be nice to do an album.
Absolutely.
It would be nice to know. Yeah.
Any venue that you like better than another in London, for example, besides the all the one?
Oh gosh.
You like the
I
Royal
don't
Albert
really.
Hall better than the Odeon or the O2 or?
Oh, the O2 is very clinical and it's huge. It's absolutely huge. So you don't. I would love to be able to play in places that have a bit of character to them. So, I mean, if we're talking small venues,
Yeah.
places like the Union Chapel, sort of churches and places that have been converted from something else and have some atmosphere, that's very cool. The Roundhouse is really nice in Camden. I don't know whether you've been there.
No.
As it suggests, it's round, obviously being the Roundhouse, but because it's round, you get a nice vibe, you get a nice atmosphere, and that's what you want, really. I'd much rather have that than something just very, very clinical. However, if somebody offered me the chance to perform, I'm not going to say no.
I need to
That would be foolish.
In 6 months from now, I need to, email you back and say, where's the album? Where's the album? I would like to see you, playing somewhere. Everybody needs to start somewhere. It's whether all the major artists, people I interview, they're starting small. they didn't have a manager. They played in coffee shop and then a small theater of 100, 200 people, and then took from there. You know, if you're good at what you do, you want to make it anyways. I don't care what
Yeah.
circumstances you have or you're upbringing, whatever. It's your life, and if you're good at what you do, you will succeed and do very well in life. That's what life is all about. So, fulfill your goals and
That's
be
what,
a
well,
good person.
there's a venue down the road called the sorry, there's a venue down the road called the Half Moon. It's a pub, but it's quite iconic. It's had the Rolling Stones in there. It's had Kate Bush in there when they were sort of way back in the day. And that's, I think the capacity of that is something like 200 or might be less than that. But it's an iconic venue. You know, it's legendary. And that's quite cool. That's the idea. Yeah, I have played there as part of a while back as part of something else as a band, and I was looking at the picture of Kate Bush all the time, just thinking to myself, "Oh my goodness, the people who have stood on this stage you're following in their footsteps, and it feels very inspiring." But yeah, you want to be heard. I want to be heard. I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? Is you want your music to be heard and for people to connect. And for me, that is the most important thing. Is just when people say, I listened to it and I loved it. I really loved it. I played it 5 times in a row. I loved it so much, 10 times in a row. It's an amazing feeling when somebody tells you that, because something that you have created out of your own head and your own gut has made them feel like that. It's wonderful, absolutely wonderful.
All right, great, man. That was I have a great time talking to you, Lulu. Good luck to you. I'm quite sure
Thank you,
we'll
and
stay in
you.
touch soon. Release your stuff, and I would love to hope to see you live one day and buy your CD, and
That would be great.
you're very good at what you do. Keep on
Thank
working.
you.
Very nice talking to you, Lulu. Take it easy.
Thank you. And you, Claudio.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
Sure.